Oh, let's change that. Let's go over here with that guy. All right. Hello. All right, y'all. We're going to be starting in about 5 minutes here. Very excited. Very excited. Oh, we got an awesome conversation today about the psychology of successful sales professionals. And we got one of our PhDs coming on, y'all. Ooh, it's going to be some good stuff. Do me a favor, when you enter the group, text in where you're from. Would love to hear where you're from. Anwar, Khalib, Kevin, Robert. Oh, my man, oh, let us know where y'all are from. Let's see here. Let us know. Oh, got the chat rolling. There we go. We got Maryland in the house. Okay, we got Dallas, Texas in the house. Rock and roll. Let's see, we got Indiana in the house. Awesome. Great to see you. Oh, it's going to be a great day today, y'all. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about, some great values, some content that we've been working on for a while and can't wait to bring out. We got Baina Parker, our in-house PhD, who is something special, y'all. She is studied under Cialdini, the author of Influence, just a genius, and she is just as much, if not more genius than I've ever seen. So y'all got a great show ahead of you today. Excited. Where are y'all from? All right, we got some new people here. We got Tara Hoyt. I like the sound of that. Dallas, Texas. Sir, thank you, Robert. The beard, it kind of puts me into sir level for good now, I guess, especially the white. Kevin, my man from Maryland, good to see you. And, oh man, I'm going to have to, Alalua from Houston, Texas. I'm sure I butchered that one, but I gave it a good effort, I think. Where y'all from? What do we got going on today? Excited. We're going to start in about 3 more minutes, y'all. 3 more minutes. Oh, I want to do that. All right. What else we got going here? What's up, John? Where you from, John? I got it right, my man. I like that. I'm not gonna try it again. I'm gonna stick with 1 out of 1. We're gonna hold tight there. New York City. All right. Let's see here. We got Tampa in the house. I love me some Tampa Bay. I was just in Tampa not too long ago. I've yet to be down for Sarsaparilla, I think it's called. I got to see that pirate race. Looking forward to that one day for sure. Very excited. We've got, okay, we've got somebody phoning in here. All right, when you get on, let us know where y'all are from. We're going to get started in about 2 to 3 more minutes, y'all. Very excited about what we've got in store for you today. Baina Parker, y'all, PhD, who is in charge of writing a lot of the programs which we create here at NASP and a lot of other amazing work which we do in her own amazing practice. She's going to be, she's genius. She's absolutely genius. She studied under Cialdini, Robert Cialdini, who wrote Influence, the Art of Selling, I believe is the name that actually subtitled. And there she is. It's like I beckoned her, right? How are you, Baina?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. Great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Yeah, all right. Let's see here. We got Ben from Dayton. Welcome, Ben. Welcome, Ben. What else we got here? Baina, we're going to get rolling in just 1 more minute, Baina. We've got a lot of people jumping on. We got a lot of registrants today. I think we got over 150 registrants for this webinar. So y'all got the hint. We got some cool stuff to share, and we're excited to share it with you. And let's see here. Where y'all from? Tell us where you're from. We got a lot of Dallas. We got some Texas, Fort Worth, Tampa, New York City, Maryland. We got people from Indiana, Baina, St. Louis, STL. Man, I just drove through and saw the arch about 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah, been doing a lot of travel. Chicago. Oh, Sabrina. Chicago just makes my mouth water. I think like all the amazing restaurants in Chicago so much. You can see the arch from your window. Wow, cool, Dan. I would love to check that out. It's definitely in my play. All right, 30 more seconds, y'all. We're gonna get this thing rolling. We're gonna get this thing popping. And the great thing is, what we're gonna do today, y'all, is we're not gonna try to fill a bunch of time for you. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here. We're gonna pop. We're gonna give you some great value. Right? Because look, most of the time with webinars I've been on, I don't know about y'all, but there's so much stuff comes at you and you're like, yeah, okay, great. But let me take one or two things that I can just put to work, right? There's so much information overload. So today we've got a great segment of information that I think is almost like, it's almost like a test to run yourself through. Right? Today we're talking about, and let's just go ahead and get this thing. Yeah, let's pop. Love it, Jason. My man, Jason was on our webinar last week. Did his first sales shift your pitch. We got a t-shirt on the way to Jason coming up right now. Brave soul. That was awesome. All right. I'm all hyped up, Aina. I'm sorry. All right. We're going to get this thing rolling. Let's go.
With you. We're good.
All right. All right, y'all. Well, welcome to this awesome Thursday webinar. As you know, we've got the amazing Baina Parker, our PhD. I call her in-house PhD just because I want to claim her, but yeah, she does a lot of work for a lot of amazing groups of people, and we're honored to be able to work with her. Baina, thank you for being here.
Hey, I love it. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. My name's Chris McCoy. I'm our VP of Business Development for the National Association of Sales Professionals. I also run the podcast, which we have some great guests coming for you very soon. We also will have all of our weekly webinars uploaded to our resource center coming very soon. So you'll be able to get access to all this amazing data and resources that we've had, and also see all the future things coming. So tune in for that very soon. Okay. Why are we all here today? Right? Why do we all choose to come here today? The topic of this conversation is the psychology of successful sales professionals. And if any of y'all are like me, it doesn't matter if you've been in sales for a day, a year, your lifetime, which a lot of us have, right? Most of us have, whether we realize it or not. But whether you've been in sales forever or just a few days, it's very obvious. Some people got it and some people don't. And I'm not saying that's who they are. I'm not saying that that's where they're stuck. What I'm saying is it's very obvious that some people, no matter what happens in the pricing, no matter what happens in the industry, no matter what happens outside in the world, they hit their numbers. They're on the top page of the revenue report, Baina. Nothing gets them out of their loop. They flex, they even shift companies, shift industries. They're always up there at the top. And if any of y'all are something like me, at some times in my life, I was like, okay, I've been there once. I hit that that goal one day, 1 month, right? But I can't do it. I haven't been able to do it consistently. And I always was wondering, like, what am I missing? What am I missing? I'm following the steps that they told me to do. I'm doing all the things. But what I didn't realize, which I came back to realize, is it wasn't a doing thing that I was missing. It was a thinking thing that I was missing. And because nobody teaches a lot of these things to you, they tell you what they are, but they don't teach you how to like really look at yourself and understand them, and the vulnerability, right, Beta, to actually be aware of those limiting potentially beliefs and those things maybe potentially holding you back. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to give you an opportunity. We're going to share with you by the end of this webinar, you will be able to look at your sales goals, or you'll be able to look at where you are in sales or in your life and where you want to be. Whether that's a lifelong I've wanted to be there, or that's a goal I've been trying to hit for the last month, the last week, the last year, or with this new company, wherever that gap is, you're going to be able to hold this lesson over that gap and say, this is the area where I need to focus more. This is what I was missing. And I just realized that my camera was off to the side. I'm like, what's going on here? You're going to go, this is what I was missing. This is the area which I need to focus on, especially for 2021 as I move forward in order to make that jump to the next level. And so by the end of this webinar, you will be able to know where you can improve and where you can close that gap between where you are and where you want to be. And so I want to give Bain an opportunity to talk about some areas in which we focus on all of our programs and all of our teaching, and all of our principles and our workshops. Everything is based on some core principles, and Bain is going to cover a few of those with you today. So I am going to slow down, take a deep breath. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat because I want y'all to keep me in the loop. Let me know if you have questions, what's going on. I'm going to keep us in the loop. I want this to be engaging. We're here with you. We're sitting in your living room, y'all, because I assume that's where you're doing work these days. But Baina's going to talk to a little bit about the psychology of successful sales professionals and why some people just have it and others have not figured it out yet. So Baina, thank you for being here. And for all
Thank you.
expert in sales, studied under the great Cialdini influence. She has done so much with so many professionals. She's a coach of elite coaches, and we are very honored and lucky to have you on the call today, Baina. So thank you.
Thanks. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation and the introduction. And thank you to everybody who's taken time to join us today and watching the replay. You know, our goal here is to help add value to you. So thanks for showing up. And I'm going to have to remind myself to call you Chris instead of Miami, since I'm like, so Miami said.
For all you also know, I ran nightclubs in Miami for about 5-6 years or so. And so my nickname tends to be Miami. I also like to have a good time because we believe fun gets more done. So
fun gets more done. Yes. So, Chris, I love one of the things that you said about how people can get into sales and they can be doing all the right things. They can be doing all the right things, and sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that's really important to hear, because so much of the time we are taught what to think and not how to think. And the truth of it is, I mean, most of you, maybe you've seen the statistic before, is that 80% of everything you do, how you show up, how you achieve your goals, 80% of that comes down to your psychology and your mindset and your beliefs. And really only about 20% of achieving what you want to achieve is actually the actions that you take. So within NASP, all of our programs and our events and the way we communicate to each other and to the community really comes down to what we like to call the Human Success Operating System, or the HSOS for short. I was going to say that was easier to say, and then I couldn't say it. HSOS. HSOS is easier to say than Human Success Operating System. And the HSOS it's essentially our framework for all of the psychology that we teach, without telling people we're teaching you psychology, but it's the life hacks, the tips and the tricks and all the things that we know from a human behavior perspective really help people change their behavior, get to the outcomes they want to have. And we call it the HSOS, the operating system, because as you all know, we all have technology, we all have our smartphones. Every 3, 6, 12 months, it's never 12 months, every 3 to 6 months or so, you get an upgrade. You have to upgrade your operating system to keep your technology working at the highest level. And what a lot of people don't realize is all that technology that we carry around that we're addicted to, it's based on the way that the human brain works. And that's part of why it is so useful to us. It's functional and user-friendly. You know, you pick up your phone and you download an app, and when everything works the way you want it to work, that's because it's working the way your brain works. It's following the path of your understanding of what you want to achieve. And that's also part of what makes it so addictive. The reason you want to pick up the phone and look for that like or that ding or that message, it's all based on the human brain. But just like your technology, oh, do you have something to say, Miami?
No, go ahead, finish.
Okay, you did this. Oh, okay. But just like you have to upgrade your technology to make sure that it's working smoothly, you also have to upgrade your own operating system. And your internal operating system, these are the beliefs and the habits and the patterns of behavior that you've just picked up along the way. Some of them maybe you developed on purpose, intentionally. You said, you know, hey, I want to be great at this, so I'm gonna build this habit. Most of them, for most of us, these things happen unconsciously. You don't even know that you've picked up these beliefs or this pattern of self-talk or the way you show up, the attitudes you have, the actions you take. You're not even aware that you have them. So when we talk about the Human Success Operating System and the psychology behind it and the behavior change, it's really designed with the idea that we can all intentionally make an upgrade. The way you
Love
click the button to upgrade your phone, where you can upgrade your belief system, the way you show up and how you make things happen in your life. You have a choice in it.
And I'd love to just ask a quick question to the
Yeah.
audience right now. We talk about this theory, but I want you to look at it in the people that you've seen in your sales teams, in your sales history, and your time in sales. I want everybody to answer in the chat here. Have y'all noticed that some people who are very successful just seem to have a way of thinking that is different than everybody else in the company? Have you noticed that yourself, or are we just out there talking about nothing, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure, Kevin. Thank you. And have y'all also noticed that those who are not successful, those who seem to find to be a victim of everything that happens, they also have a way of thinking that is so uniquely different than everybody else, right? And so to know that there are these two different ways of thinking, we understand that yeah, it may not be a conscious choice, but it is a choice, right? So that's what we're talking about, is like to be aware of these things. Now that we're aware, how can we start making little changes in order to cheat the system and to get us moving towards where we want to be as opposed to where we don't want to be, right? So thank you, Maina. Loving this.
Yeah. So when we talk about the HSOS, you know, we generally only talk about it when we're telling people why NASP programs are effective and how they actually lead to behavior change. But within every program we have, every conversation we have, the HSOS, it relies on 7 core psychological concepts. We don't necessarily teach the concepts, but everything that we create is framed around these concepts. And I'm going to talk about 4 of them today that I think, all 7 of them are tied to pretty much everything everybody does. And as you're trying to create the life you want, the career you want, to show up as the person you want to be, all 7 of them come in there. But I think 4 are really tied specifically to sales. So when Chris and I were talking about, well, what is the psychology of the successful sales professional, which is also hard to say. There's a lot of S's and P's in everything we're saying today. So I'm glad I don't have a list right at this moment. As we're talking about what it actually means to be a successful sales professional, I was like, well, these concepts, these core psychological pieces that we talk about in the HSOS, that we teach to in the HSOS, are really tied, can really be recognized in sales. And the first one I want to talk about is identity formation. Your identity, it's made up of your beliefs about yourself, all of your experiences, all of your memories, all the interactions you've had in your life, the things that make you who you are, the things that make you a distinct and whole person and separate from the others around you, and also tied into the groups and the communities that matter most to you. All of these things make up your identity. And within psychology, there's wide recognition that people can have multiple social identities. That doesn't mean, like in abnormal psych, a diagnosis of any sort of dissociative identity disorder, but it's the social identities you have, the roles you play. So, you may be a salesperson, you may be a father, brother, friend, lover, partner, all the different roles. And some of these identities are created for you. Most of us, you have some identity based on your gender. You may have some identity based on your ethnic background. You may have some identity based on where and how you were raised. I grew up in Texas, so you can take the girl out of Texas, but taking Texas out of the girl just doesn't happen that much. And I'm a Longhorn, so I bleed a little burn orange. Go Horns. Let's not talk about football today. And some of the identities show up because of a significant emotional event in your life. You become a parent. You get diagnosed with a chronic illness. Some of these identities are created for you, and we have the power to create the identities that we want. The strongest, sorry?
Oh, please say that, yes.
Oh, yeah. The strongest force in human nature is to stay true to the identity you hold of yourself. So if you have an identity as a sales professional, you are more likely to do the things, or as a successful sales professional, you are more likely to do the things that a successful sales professional does.
I want to put a little.
Yeah, I was like, take a breath. I'll pause for you.
I want to pull a sauce on that one, y'all. So I've been in sales so much my whole life. Often I'll have somebody that I'll start to work with, and they'll go, well, and they'll lead off with this point, right? They were in this other industry, they did this other thing, and they worked with people, helping them with their needs, right? In some aspect, maybe a hairdresser of sorts. And then they'll come and they're like, listen, I'm not a salesperson. they'll say this to me. I was like, well, you've been selling this whole time. But because in their mind, they have this idea of what sales is, and they're moving to this career, they all of a sudden have created this fracture
This
within
gap, yeah.
their ability to be successful. And I see it all the time. And right now it's happening more than ever because more people are being forced from one industry to another. People are having to take their chance at sales, but they're entering it with this firm belief of that they are not those things. And so, yeah, I really, really love that emphasis that you put on that.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. So many people get into sales because there are often sales jobs available. And people think of sales as a thing that you either need to be trained to do, or you're going to get good at, or you're not good at. And it's funny that you mentioned that conversation people have is like, oh, I'm not a sales professional, I hate selling. Just in the last week, I've had a couple conversations, and it's funny that I didn't realize John Daughtry was on this, but John was in this group conversation I was having in the last few days, and there was somebody in the group saying, oh, I hate being sold to. I don't want to sell. I don't like being sold to. I'm just not a salesperson. And this is a group of entrepreneurs, people who are looking to get their message out. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if you tell yourself you hate sales and you tell yourself that you're not a salesperson, you're never going to step into this role and be able to do it. But the reality is, we are all selling all day, every day. And the word sales can have some connotations, sometimes negative. You know, people, you get that model, that archetype of the used car salesman or somebody who's just trying to pull something over on you. But everything we do, every communication we have, with very few exceptions, is designed to influence people, is designed to motivate people. I mean, you look at politicians, not getting into political messaging at all today, but a politician's job, their goal is to get people to agree with them on why they think we should approach things the way we do. Every parent, I mean, I have kids, every parent, when you're trying to convince your kids to eat their vegetables, you're selling them something. You're selling them on how good that vegetable is for them, and how broccoli's gonna, or the spinach is gonna make them strong like Popeye. Every conversation is trying to not manipulate, but to change and to influence. And I think these days, some people are much more comfortable with the idea of calling themselves an influencer as opposed to a salesperson. The only difference between an influencer and a salesperson is that eventually the salesperson is gonna ask for the sale, gonna ask to close something. But so much of our communication comes down to that desire to influence, that if you're showing up today and you think, I mean, I'm in a sales role, or I know I need to sell my product, my business, my message, I know I need to sell it, but I don't like it, you have to let go of that. Because every day you show up, every conversation you have, you're already selling. So just embrace it as a core thing that we do when we communicate, and get rid of that baggage.
100%. And just like Jason said, yeah, it's just a title, y'all. Remind yourself of what you're doing. But also, before you move past this, ask yourself the question, am I struggling with my identity as a sales professional? Am I struggling in that area? Is that an area where I have some limiting beliefs that I brought to the table that maybe never addressed before, that might be preventing me from moving forward in that opportunity, right? Just as awareness provides change always. So awesome,
Yeah,
man.
so I think one of the important pieces is, or the most important piece, the first important piece when we talk about the psychology of successful sales professionals, is this identity formation. It's taking the step of saying, you know what, I am a sales professional. Even if that's not my title, even if it's just part of my job, but especially if it is my title, I'm a sales professional, I'm a sales leader, I'm a sales executive, whatever it is you are right now, and the ideal you're aspiring to be. Create the identity of who that person is and what that person does. Because when you have that identity, when you have that strong identity of being a sales professional and a successful sales professional, that helps all of your other habits and patterns align to that identity. Like we said before, the strongest force in human nature is to stay true to the identity you hold of yourself. So if I say I'm a successful sales professional, but I don't feel like following up, or I don't feel like making this call, or no, whatever excuse I make, that doesn't align with my identity. The more I say this identity and embrace what that means and what that looks like and who that version of Bana is, I'm going to do those things she does because that's who I am. So the most, whether they've formed it intentionally or not, a successful sales professional has that identity. They formed that identity. They have those beliefs and memories and conversations around what that looks like. And that's core to who they are. And part of making that really effective is the second psychological concept that I wanted to talk about, which is self-efficacy. And self-efficacy, it's just a fancy psychology term for talking about your beliefs. And it's kind of funny because and maybe this is just the communities of people I talk to, but I feel like people are much more open these days to talking about mindset and beliefs. And I know that there are still pockets of the world that are like, oh, that's kind of woo-woo. Like, we're talking about beliefs. Are you going to bring out crystals? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe crystals work for you. Some people swear by them. But self-efficacy is your belief in your ability, in yourself, to be effective at something. And there's tons of research showing that your self-efficacy, your belief in your ability to achieve a goal or to enact a change or to take on some new level of behavior drastically influences whether or not you can actually do it. So, I mean, there's a quote out there that I should know who says it, but whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford? Okay, I thought it was Ford and I wasn't sure.
I believe Plato or Socrates originally said it before him in another unique way, but yeah, Henry Ford is that's his quote for sure.
Okay, cool. 100% right, even without the psychology background behind it, but the research backs it up. If you believe you can be successful in sales, if you believe that you're going to get on a call with your ideal client and knock it out of the park, guess what? You're going to show up with the confidence, with the certainty, with the clarity that even if if you've practiced a script or a pitch, even if you flub it, you know what your goal is, your outcome is. You believe that you're going to close that sale or connect with that potential client. You're going to build that relationship that's needed. If you have that belief, the chances of you actually doing it, the likelihood of you actually doing it is vastly different than if you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to get on this call, but it's going to go terribly. This person doesn't want what I have.
100%. It changes your tone. It changes the words you use. It changes the way that you communicate, because now all of a sudden your psychology is now, how do I soften this blow and get out of here with the least amount of pain, as opposed to, all right, how do I move this person through the challenge they're getting through in order to get to the place where they're ready to buy, which is a completely different psychology. And when you expect it, I always use the example of jumping over a puddle, right? When I was a little kid, I used to run and jump over puddles, but the second I started to get old enough to be aware of what everybody thought of me, like I was like, I started to see puddles. And I remember one time I was like, there was girls standing around. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, well, yeah, but if I don't make it over the puddle, I'm gonna splash. Might splash me right between the legs. I might look like I wet my pants. I don't even know if I want to do this. And I ran and jumped, and I just kind of jotted off to the side a little bit. I didn't give it my full effort because I didn't believe it was possible. Right? Because all of a sudden the worry of failure entered my mind. It's almost like, oh, I was like the Adam and Eve, right? It was also, they took the leaves off. I'm like, wait a second, what happens if someone notices now, right?
Yeah.
And that fear, those fears, they change you subconsciously if you're not aware of them. Last thing I want to say before you move on, the quote that always comes to me after the Henry Ford quote is, before I was like, oh, okay, I don't believe it. So what of it now? What are you gonna do with that now? But the idea is that, oh, well, you can change your beliefs, and Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says, whether, if only way to have belief in a place where you don't currently have a belief is through constant repetition of an affirmation, and it's so that those two kind of come together. If you don't believe, that's okay. Be aware of it, acknowledge it, and then start to do the things that you need in order to change that belief.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your example of the puddle, because you touched on something that I wasn't necessarily planning to talk about today, but it's also really important, is this idea of the external focus of looking, or that external looking outside you for that motivation. It's the, what is this person going to think? What is this person going to say about me? All of these things, it's just noise. It's just noise in your head. The more you're able to have that internal motivation and that internal confidence about your beliefs, you're able to silence the haters, because most of the haters are just in your head. No one is thinking about you as much as you think they're thinking about you. You can silence the haters because you control those voices. So taking away that external piece about what are the girls going to think if I splash in the puddle, or, what is, the superstar coworker, if I go after this lead and I don't close it and she could have, what's the talk around the water cooler? Who cares?
Exactly.
Are you challenging yourself? Are you growing? Are you prepared? I mean, if you're going into that conversation totally unprepared, you might whiff it. But you build your identity, you do the work aligned with your identity to be that successful salesperson. You get that self-efficacy in there, those beliefs. Chances are you're not going to whiff it.
Absolutely.
You're going to be doing the work. You're going to have laid the groundwork and built the connection and built the relationship in the way you need to, because you are a successful sales professional. You've done all those pieces. Of course the belief is there. The conversation is going to go great. Make the call. But sorry, I got distracted by the chat there.
Jason says, saying this is easy, but your subconscious mind is 10 times faster than your conscious mind. So what are 1 or 2 things you can do every day to help overcome the ninja fast subconscious?
Yeah. What'd you say?
I'm going to give one right now. I mean, the affirmation.
That's a huge one.
It has changed my life, y'all. It's changed my game. I wake up every morning and I don't wait for the negative thought to creep in and then have a positive ready. I double up and add the positive thoughts in there in the morning, because I know those are the weakest places for some negative thought to get in. And so I build up my strength in those areas so that when that thing comes in, it doesn't have any room to get in. And those affirmations have changed my life.
Yeah. The affirmations are a huge one. The second one I would say is visualizations. And again, a lot of people think, oh, a visualization is woo-woo. Think of it as mental practice. There's so much psychological research out there showing, I'm not going to remember the exact numbers, but they took a team of basketball players and they had half of them go out and practice X number of hours a day and the other half mentally practice. And the group that mentally practiced, when they actually got out there, their rate of actually making the baskets was so much higher, because when they were mentally practicing, they never missed. They were building the mental and muscle memory of this visualization of success. Whereas when you're out there, and I mean, yes, building the muscle memory is great. Figuring out how to make the shot is great, but you're missing some, and you're creating a reference point of, oh my God, what if I choke? What if I miss? The mental is huge.
Mental gym is so huge. Think about it in sales. How often are y'all, especially when you're new in sales, the only thing that you're thinking about is practicing is failing. That's the only thing that you practice in your imagination is failing. What if this goes wrong? What if they say no? What if they hang up? What if they don't like me? Blah, 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 blah. That's all practice in the mental
What if they
gym.
ask a question I don't know the answer to? I have to be an expert in this product before I can talk about it. No, you don't. No. So you have to know it's going to solve your problem.
Yeah. And so make sure that if that's the natural way that your subconscious is working, be conscious and do the mental practice of seeing people say yes, of getting through obstacles and challenges. Take time to build those references in your head before you just go face them in the real world. Yeah. Or while you're facing them in the real world, more accurately.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. So Jason, the affirmation, the visualization, like John said, tying it to the emotions, that's part of the visualization piece, is getting the emotional attachment to what you are envisioning, feeling it, smelling it, tasting it, hearing it in your mind. Hear the congratulations you're going to get when you go tell your sales leader, hey, you know what? I killed my goals. I killed the quota for this month. Hear that congratulations, feel that. And that's what's going to help it's going to help reframe what your unconscious, your subconscious mind is doing, reframing these neural pathways that are taking you down these avenues that you've rehearsed over and over again towards failure, towards defeat of some kind. And that ties really closely to the third psychological concept I wanted to talk about. You guys are just feeding me these segues, so thank you, which is resilience. Resilience is pretty common buzzword. You've probably heard it out there a lot. Some people have referred to it as grit. I think resilience is a slightly different animal from grit. And I think right now in the pandemic, the need for resilience is more important than ever, because 2020 is a hell of a year. We never know what's coming. The onslaught is never ending. But when we talk about resilience, it's the ability to overcome challenges and obstacles, but not just to overcome them. It's your ability to handle them and overcome them without long-term psychological damage or psychological repercussions. So when we talk about resilience in the world of sales, part of it is saying, you know what? I have the identity, I have the beliefs. If I go into this conversation and it doesn't go the way I visualized, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to bounce back from that, because every mistake you make, every time you have a conversation that doesn't go the way you want it to, doesn't go to the ideal, there's the opportunity to learn something. You either learn, hey, you know what? I need more of a connection before I go for the high ticket sale. I need to build this relationship a little longer. Or, you know what, that qualifying call we had, maybe I need to add a few questions in to make sure this person is qualified to buy. How do I make sure that the decision maker is on this call as opposed to someone who's just screening? Every time I don't even like calling them failures, but every time you encounter a challenge or something doesn't go the right way, the ideal way, there's a learning opportunity there.
This is so true. And I always ask people, look at the experts out there. Look at the people making all the money, the people holding the roles in which you want to hold one day. Every one of them made every single mistake along the way to learn the lesson in order to know how to respond to that, in order to get better and grow through that. They've made the same mistakes that you made, all the ones that you're going to make, and then some others. And the smarter they are, the better they are, the more mistakes they have made on the way to get here. And this is just, it's very interesting. I get a little pumped up about this one because it reminds me of being a kid and being in class and going, I think I know the answer, but I don't want her to say I'm wrong in front of everybody. That's just so embarrassing. I'm just going to not answer, right? It just reminds me of that behavior that was conditioned in us. So we used to say, go get 100 no's today. Go get 100 no's this week. First one to 100 no's wins.
Yes.
Because if you're out there seeking no's and you don't care, you're going to get a yes and it's cool, great, awesome. It's just going to flow with you, right? If you go seek to build the resilience, as opposed to seeking to be right or get a yes, you achieve the one which automatically gets you the other. This is the magic behind the psychology. Sorry, Bana, go ahead, please.
No. I love your contributions to this conversation, because the thing that's really critical about resilience is, I mean, you can build your self-efficacy, tell yourself how strong and resilient you are. Resilience only develops, you only build this muscle when you actually encounter challenges. You don't wake up one day resilient. You discover you are resilient. You uncover your resilience by failing. You uncover your resilience by encountering challenges and going, oh my God, this mountain is huge. How do I get over it? And sometimes it's over it. Sometimes it's around it. Sometimes you hunker down and barrel through it and you get to the other side and go, oh, that mountain didn't look so big. And in the rearview mirror, the mountain never looks that big. But resilience doesn't just come. You have to get out of that comfort zone and try some things. You have to test yourself. You have to, you can have the best laid plans, but until you put them into action, you don't know how resilient you are. And that resilience is a core piece, because the more you build that resilience, there's this beautiful loop. It reinforces your self-efficacy, because then you have the belief that no matter what happens in this conversation, I'm going to be okay. Me, who I am as a person, as a sales professional, my self-worth is still solid because I'm resilient. That's part of that belief process and that identity process that just reinforces it over and over and over again.
Bana, I just want to say something real quick. We got man, I said it right the first time. My man O over here, Alaulua. I can't remember. I probably said it right the first time and wrong the second time. Either or. My man O says, I'm from Nigeria with 10 years sales experience in the FMCG market. Where can I start from in the US? Does my accent matter, right? Asking that question, you're asking, what do you guys think about this? Why not choose a belief first, right? Choose a belief that now my accent makes me different and unique. My accent makes me special. Where can I start? Anywhere you choose that is possible for you. Anywhere. Start with your beliefs first. Sort them out. Believe and then go sort it out. But if you start with belief first, you'll have a better opportunity of seeking the outcome in which you want as opposed to getting what's out there for you. The road with no obstacles leads to nowhere. Jason dropping bombs.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. Absolutely love this stuff, Bana. Resilience. I love the idea of resilience being something that's earned. It's something that's gained through time and through the practice. Resilience is the result of mental gym, right? And what is resilience? Resilience is your ability to not get shaken. Resilience is you stepping up on the stage all of a sudden when there was no guest speaker, and now you have an opportunity to pitch 200 of your peers, and you walk up there and you flex and you feel the nervousness, but you rise to the occasion. It's the opportunity that you step in the elevator with the CEO of the company you've been dying to sell to, and instead of clamming up and just going right into a weird pitch, you actually
Staring on your phone.
yeah, on your phone, like distract yourself. No, you have a normal conversation with them, right? That's what resilience gets you. It gets you to be a calm person in those times when everybody else kind of goes into a place of freaking out. So love that stuff, Bana.
Yeah, absolutely. I think resilience is one of my favorite things to talk about because, oh my goodness, we love to think we control so much. Like, oh, well, I control. I control my family. I control how I show up. I control. The truth of the matter is, we control two things in life: what we make things mean, the stories we have in our head about what everybody else thinks or believes or why they did something, and how we react to it. And I say react, not respond. No, wait, switch that. How we respond to it. I say respond, not react, because your reaction is that unconscious, immediate, emotional, like you stub your toe, your eyes water. You don't control that. But when you take that breath and say, I control how I respond to this, what I made that story mean and how I respond to it, that's all we control.
Love that. Love that, Bana. I got a question here, and I want to keep this moving here so we can get this covered, all this stuff covered here. But Deepak George says, how do you break through a very tough customer when he refuses to listen? And I'm going to let Bana answer this, but I want to address something real quick. You've already declared something, Deepak. You've declared this person is very tough and they refuse to listen, as opposed to, which seems like you're interpreting this through a personal way, as opposed to, I've not been able to identify the needs of this customer yet and get his attention. How can I get there, right? It's almost like a different story that you're telling with this framing of the question. And I'll let the psychologist also add to that as well, or our PhD anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Psychologist works, PhD
Okay,
works.
good, all right.
Dr. Parker works. I've always loved that my last name is easy, because if somebody doesn't want to try saying Bana, like they're worried they're going to mess up Bana because it's not pronounced the way it's spelled, just Dr. Parker's fine.
I refer to it as Queen Bee, but I'll stick to Dr. Parker. So go ahead.
Also, it's good. Yeah, I think what you said right there is exactly right. It's you already have this belief that person is tough, that they're refusing to listen. But ultimately, the reminder here is you don't control how that person is going to react to you. You have no control over what other people think of you or how they respond. What you control is how you show up for them. So if you see somebody who is closed off, if they feel like you feel like they're not listening, all you control is what you were able to provide to them. If you start getting frustrated or defensive or reactive, that's not likely to get you the outcome you want. But if you think to yourself, okay, this person isn't listening, I guess I have to show up with more certainty. I guess I have to show up with more clarity, or maybe I need to show up seeking to understand. If they're closed off in a tough, I have to go in and ask more questions, because maybe I don't really know what their pain point is. I came into this conversation thinking I knew what their challenge was, and I came in strong with my solution. But if they're not responding, then there must be another challenge there that I haven't even touched on yet. So I'm going to go understand more. I'm going to connect more. I'm going to learn more so I can show up, because all I control is how I show up, the way that I can solve their problem. You don't control how that person shows up to you.
Absolutely. I love that. Really, really beautiful perspective. And great reply there as well, John. That must be frustrating. What problem were you hoping we could solve today? Yeah, reframe it. Yeah.
And making the acknowledgement. And not in a way that's like, oh, you seem really shut off, but like, hey, I'm feeling like I'm not addressing what you're looking for. What is how can I help you? That's why I'm here. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
waste my time or yours.
Yep. Exactly. And Deepak, well done. Just reframe your perspective and change your beliefs, and go back in knowing that you're going to uncover the needs he has and that you're the value he needs to hear. You know, go in believing that, and that you're going to do your best to give him the best opportunity to solve his problem. And then be happy and content with what you were able to do, and allow him to handle his part of his whole life and fulfillment. You know, that's his responsibility. But if you fall in love with this, what will happen is you'll find you waste less time on those who don't care.
Yeah.
And you attract and find more time for those that do want you, what you're offering, and the confidence that you're able to deliver in that manner. So I love this. Bana, we got one more, don't we?
We got one more.
All right.
So the fourth psychological concept, most of people in sales don't even know this is a psychological concept. It's just a metric to you, but goal setting, not to you, but to a lot of people. People think, oh, you know, setting goals, write it down, use your SMART goal. There's so much of the time in sales, your goals are set for you. You either have a quota or an annual metric, or you know, your quarterly numbers that you have to hit that came down from on high. This is the revenue we need, or this is your call time, or this is the what's the word I'm looking for? The referral number, the NS.
Oh, I don't know the referral number. I don't have that one. Well, KPIs, the KPIs that we set for our goals.
Not the KPIs, but it's the question that often comes, like after you talk to somebody on a sales call and they're like, oh, you're going to get a survey afterwards. It's the referral thing. Like, would you refer somebody to?
Oh, the satisfaction rating. I can't remember the actual acronym.
Yeah, there's a code for it and I've totally forgotten what it is. Brain cloud. Okay. You don't control those things. Those things are set for you so much of the time. But in the psychological research, what it means to actually set a goal, there's a step that comes before it. And this is, you know, again, in the CPSP programs that we have in NASP, which is Certified Professional Salesperson or Certified Professional Sales Leader. Lots of letters, guys, lots of acronyms. Net Promoter Score. Thank you. There was like an NP and S. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. NPS was what I was looking for. Someone got it. What'd you say?
So way to go, Kate.
Yeah. Kate for the win. Thank you. Appreciate it. In our programs, when we talk about goal setting, the first piece is the vision. It's having the bigger picture of what it is you're trying to achieve. So in the research, if you know what your vision is and you have a purpose behind it and you have an emotional attachment to the purpose of why you want to achieve these outcomes, the goals that you set are they're just benchmarks along the way to your vision. So checking this box and saying, you know, I had this % availability or this % sales or this % I closed this number of new clients versus existing clients and turning these things around. Those are benchmarks. Those are yardsticks along the way to say, but my bigger vision is to impact the world in this way. And here's why. Or my bigger vision is to contribute to the impact this company is having on a global scale. And right now, I mean, I'm a proud Gen Xer, but you know, with millennials and Gen Z and all these groups, you know, there are these differences about how important it is to make an impact. And I think that's really reflected in this research on the goal, because having that bigger vision, knowing why you're putting in the effort and why you're putting in the time and why you are reaching out to this client in particular, it's tied to the bigger vision and purpose of what it is you're trying to do. So even though in a sales role, somebody may tell you, okay, this is your goal for this quarter, this is your goal for the month, it's end of the month, we need to hit these numbers. If you're just going through and checking them, you may hit them, you may not. But the research, the psychology behind it shows the more you are able to have a bigger vision behind those goals and that emotional attachment, that purpose behind those goals, the more likely you are to achieve them. The more likely you're going to be able to look at the action steps you're taking and saying, you know, I need to start this lead generation process, or I need to follow up here, or I need to qualify there, or I need to, you know, I need to go put some love into this relationship. Why are you doing those things? Oh, because you have to hit this goal? No, you're doing these things because it serves your purpose. You're doing these things because it meets your bigger vision. And the more you're able to do that, when you hit those obstacles or challenges, when you hit that, the people that just keep hanging up on you, or when you hit that person that kind of ghosted you, you think, oh, this person's they're going to close this high ticket offer in the next week, and all of a sudden there's crickets. That's challenging. It can feel defeating. But the more you tie that into, why am I doing these actions? Am I reaching out to this person because I know I know this is their pain? They've told me in our other conversations, and I can help them. Well, I'm going to reach out again because I actually care about this person's outcomes. It makes it that much easier to stick to those goals. It builds your resilience. It builds your self-efficacy. All of these psychological pieces are very closely intertwined, and they all help you become that professional, that successful sales professional.
Love it, Bana. Absolutely love it. All right, y'all, we got this up here for you right now, as you can see. Identity formation. Ask yourself the question. This is where it becomes real, y'all. This is all information, right? All great information. But if you don't apply it to your own life, if you don't hold this magnifying glass over your own behavior and your own identity and your own, personal situation, you're not going to get any growth, right? So that's what you came here for, is to get the opportunity to learn and to grow. So ask yourself, take time to ask yourself these questions tonight, tomorrow, after this webinar, whenever you can find a moment. How strong is your salesperson identity? Are there any limiting things? Are there any distractions in there preventing you from really stepping full into a salesperson identity and a professional salesperson identity? Do you believe you can be successful as a sales professional? Not only can you be a salesperson, but you can be successful as a salesperson, right? Can you achieve these goals? Can you take on new challenges and rise to the next level? Right? Is that possible for you? And if not, where are the beliefs that are holding you back? Let's work on affirmations to replace those beliefs. Are you afraid of no? Resilience. If you find yourself getting that uncomfortableness before calls, when you get on calls, first off, do a power move to shake it up a little bit, right? To break that pattern, but also change your perspective. Give yourself some time every week to get some no's so that you feel comfortable with it, so you can build yourself up some resilience. Take some time to, as Bana said, do the visualizations. Visualize yourself getting a no and then turning it into a yes. Visualize yourself going through some no's and finally getting your yeses. Visualizing a no turning into a yes down the road so that they don't let you down as much, right? And then what is your vision for success? What is your vision? Are these just goals? Are these just numbers out there? Or do you have a why behind it? Often, like when people want to get motivated to do something, it's like, well, you can show me a picture of a car and a house, but it's not going to push me when I don't want to do something. But if you show me a picture of my family enjoying that car and that house and the time that we're going to spend together and how much that's going to bring us together, when that brings in my why, right? And then that grabs me. You know where it grabs me, but it grabs me, gets me to actually do something. Now here's the crazy thing I want to talk to y'all about. We knew a lot of this information. Say something in the chat if some of y'all knew some of this information already, right? Most of this stuff is not all new for us. Maybe in the way that Genius Bana framed it, Dr. Parker framed it, but it's not all new. The idea is that we know a lot of this stuff, but putting them into action is the other hard part. That's the challenge, right? And I know this for a fact because I can guarantee you, every single one of you knows that having goals, one, is a first step in achieving those goals. Writing, remember this thing you used to hear when you were a kid? The first time you ever joined a salesperson, writing those goals down increases your opportunity to achieve those goals by like 30%. I can't remember the exact stats, but telling somebody else about those goals that you wrote down actually increases your opportunity to achieve them by another 10 to 15%. Mm-hmm. We knew this. Every one of you. I know,
make it public. Write it down, make it public.
Write it down, make it public. We all knew this, how much it increases our opportunity to hit it, but how many of us practice that still on a regular, weekly, monthly, annual basis? We don't. Some of us do, but not all of us. And there may be other things that we know that we need to do, we don't do. The reason I say this is because the reason we're here giving this value is because we know that we're going to give you all the value in the world. And some people, a small percentage of people have got the psychology already working for them. They've already got some systems in place to keep them accelerating on this growth platform. They're going to take this information, they're going to go, whoop, download it and grow, download it and grow. Others are going to take it and go, wow, that's awesome. I'm going to stay exactly the same because I haven't really applied it yet. Why? Because it's hard. Because I tried before and it didn't work. Because you don't know what my life looks like, and lives are crazy out there right now. People are dealing with more outside noise than they ever have, and now inside noise because kids are getting studied and having to be teaching them inside, and now your husband or wife is working with you in the same office. I
And
get it.
constant uncertainty.
Constant uncertainty, yes, and everything else happening outside, right? That's why our programs are here. That's why we are here. That's why we are doing what we do. It's because our programs, the CPSP and the CPSL and all the other programs that we have here at NASP, give you the accountability to make those changes. They give you the opportunity to be accountable to yourself in an environment where nobody else gets to listen, but that you have accountability to the commitments that you're making. And you have daily support to get you through the hard times. And then you have weekly support with groups, with environment, with people to share your challenges with, to help you with that community aspect, to pull you through so that you can get through that cycle of performance and that hard time when it becomes really difficult to make the change that you all know you want to make. So we promised you would give you some areas where you can improve. Did everybody get that? Did everybody get an area where they see they might be able to put some new focus to? Jason's starting the CPSP on Monday. I love it, Jason. That's awesome. Yeah, you can tell Jason's doing something here. Knowing versus doing, Kevin. That's right. True, true, true.
I just saw Dan's comment in there.
Awesome. Lots of yeses on here. Listen, y'all, take the commitment. If you haven't taken the CPSP or the CPSL, take it. Learn the process and get an accountability partner to learn the systems you need in order to get the growth mindset, which means every single day becomes a churn and burn. We add a little bit more and add a little bit more and move a little bit closer. And inch by inch, everything becomes a cinch. It becomes enjoyable, and you get to your goals. This psychology, I can't wing it out like Bana can, but it's become innate in me because our programs have trained it in me. It becomes who I am, not what I know. And I think that's what's really cool about what we do, Bana.
Absolutely. I did see one question in the Q&A from David. When talking about the HSOS, I mentioned that there were 7 core psychological concepts in the framework. The other 3 is conditioning, doing that little bit every day, building that commitment and consistency. The second one is behavioral consistency. This idea that we're more likely to behave in a way that matches our past behavior, and how can we use the strengths of that and then break the patterns, break that habit to create the change that we want to create. And then the last one is the growth mindset, the ability to recognize that we can change, we can grow, we can do things differently than the way we've had before. So those are all 7 of the concepts.
I absolutely love it. And keep an eye out, y'all. We're going to have a great, we're going to have more conversations on this. We might do this in another month or so again, and really start to dive deeper into one of these at a time. But take the program, learn them, continue to tune in every Thursday. We're going to have awesome webinars for you. Make the commitment, y'all. Choose first what you want and what you're going to believe in, and then let everything else sort itself out. Thank you so much for being here, Bana. I love our time together, as always. Yeah, awesome. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you. Thanks for engaging. If you have any questions, if y'all have taken a program and you want some support on bringing this to the rest of your team, reach out to us, team@nasp.com, or through the social media platforms. We'll be glad to set up a 30-minute workshop for you and your team to kind of give them an idea, give them some value like we're doing right now, and to allow them to have an opportunity to learn and then grow through our programs. We're here to hope and to extend this relationship to all of y'all. So come on and let us know how we can help. Have a great day. Oh, Robert got me Miami. My man, Robert. That hit me right here. But my man. All right, y'all. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much. Cheers.